July 11th, 2015, 8:10 p.m. A guard walks past a prison cell. The TV is on. The volume is high. But the man they were watching was already gone. This is the story of how the most wanted man in the world escaped from the most secure prison in Mexico. Not once, but twice. Puente Grande prison was built to be inescapable. Armed towers surrounded the facility on all sides. The walls were reinforced with heavy concrete and steel. Security checkpoints were everywhere. For every prisoner, there were 2 guards. It looked less like a prison and more like a military base, and inside was one of the most dangerous men alive. His name was Joaquin Archivaldo Guzman Loera, but the world knew him as El Chapo, the leader of the Sinaloa Cartel. He was arrested in 1993, after years of being hunted by Mexican authorities. But prison didn't break him, because El Chapo didn't live like a prisoner. He bribed guards, officials, and security supervisors. With millions of dollars, he turned the prison into his own kingdom. He had phones, special food, unlimited visitors. He was still running his cartel from behind bars. For years he was comfortable, until something changed. In 2001, Mexico began discussing the possibility of extraditing major drug lords to the United States. El Chapo understood what that meant. In a U.S. prison, his money wouldn't reach the guards. His network would be cut off. His power would be finished. So he decided to escape. The plan was bold in its simplicity. On the night of January 19th, 2001, the number of guards in his section was quietly reduced. A laundry worker had been bribed. El Chapo hid himself inside a cart filled with dirty clothes. At one point, the cart rolled backward under his weight. If it had hit the wall, everything was over. The worker caught it. Just in time, the cart left the prison. Outside, a car was waiting. No inspection, no questions. Just like that, El Chapo walked out of the most secure prison in Mexico. He would stay free for 13 years, and during those years, he didn't hide. He built an empire. He expanded the Sinaloa cartel across all of Mexico and deep into the United States. He moved cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine in quantities that had never been seen before. Forbes magazine placed him on their list of the world's most powerful people. His personal fortune was estimated at over $1 billion. He became, without question, the most powerful drug lord in the world. But in February 2014, it all came crashing down. Mexican forces, working alongside U.S. intelligence, tracked him to a house in Culiacan. He was arrested before he could run. This time, they swore it would be different. El Chapo was transferred to Altiplano, a federal maximum security facility built specifically for prisoners like him. No phones, no signals of any kind, a GPS tracker fastened to his leg, a camera watching his cell 24 hours a day. Every square meter of the facility was monitored. Escaping seemed impossible, but El Chapo was already planning. His cartel had spent decades building tunnels for drug smuggling, long engineered passages running under the U.S.-Mexico border. This time, they would use that expertise for something else. The plan started more than a kilometer away from the prison walls. His associates purchased a plot of land roughly 1.5 kilometers from Altiplano. On the surface, it looked like a house under construction. Below the surface, a team of workers began digging. 10 meters underground, straight toward the prison. The tunnel was not rough or improvised. It had ventilation systems to bring in fresh air, electric lighting the entire length of the passage, and rails embedded in the floor. But there was one problem they had to solve first. How would they know the exact location of his cell? The answer came through his wife. She managed to bring him a watch during a visit. Hidden inside, the watch was a GPS tracking device. El Chapo placed the watch in the shower area of his cell. That was the only blind spot in the entire room, the one corner the camera could not reach. His team now had the exact coordinates. They dug with precision. After months of work on the night of July 11th, 2015, the tunnel reached directly beneath his shower. El Chapo sat in his cell watching television. He turned up the volume. At 8:10 p.m., he stood up, walked toward the shower, and disappeared into the floor. A small opening had been cut through the concrete, leading down a ladder. At the bottom, a modified motorcycle waited on the rails. He rode through the tunnel, more than a kilometer underground, and emerged into the house his cartel had built above. By the time guards noticed his cell was empty, he was already long gone. The escape made headlines around the world. It embarrassed the Mexican government, and it made El Chapo a legend. This time, authorities held nothing back. The DEA, the FBI, and Mexican intelligence all worked together. 6 months later, in January 2016, they found him in a house in Sinaloa. Special forces raided it. A gunfight broke out, and once again, El Chapo ran for a tunnel. He made it through. He stole a car and drove. A few kilometers down the road, a police checkpoint blocked his path. He tried to bribe the officers. They refused. He threatened them. They still refused. For the third time, El Chapo was arrested. This time, Mexico made the decision they had avoided for years. He would be sent to the United States. In January 2017, he was extradited. In July 2019, he was sentenced to life in prison, plus 30 years. He now sits in ADX Florence, Colorado, the most secure prison in the United States, 23 hours a day, alone in a small concrete cell. No contact, no network, no tunnels. For decades, El Chapo made governments look helpless. He escaped every cage they built. He outran every trap they set. He bribed his way through walls and tunneled his way through floors. He turned the world's most wanted list into a resume. But eventually, the man who escaped everything ran out of places to run. Today he sits alone in silence. No tunnels, no cartel, no power. Just a man, and the prison built so that he can never leave.